Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Stefanie Drysdale's weekly cybersecurity recap, number 4, Friday, January 31st, 2020.
Thank you. There was a lot going on this week. We've had a very, very busy cyber week, which most weeks seems like already are. So I'll just jump straight in. There was a post on lessons learned from the 2019 breaches, which I thought were really, really helpful to just kind of highlight all the things that we can take away from last year's negatives. Know your valuable data, cloud storage risks, third-party vulnerabilities, insider threat, compliance failures. Remember, compliance is there for a reason to help us. Vulnerable web apps and supply chain partners. So a lot of things to address and keep in mind. Next, we had email fueling cybercrime. This is probably one of the biggest ways that criminals are getting into our systems now is through emails, whether it be through phishing campaigns or just kind of hijacking systems. So watch your emails, make sure that you're not clicking on things, and that if you're in charge of your team, that you're giving them lots of tools for awareness so that they know which things they should be on the lookout for, especially as it relates to social engineering as well. The next thing that came up was prevention against some top travel threats. So, especially as executives, when we have a lot of things to protect and to guard, and a lot of travel and a lot of things that they're responsible for, it's really important to make sure that they're aware of the geopolitical risks, that the security teams are aware of any mental health issues, any physical health issues, to make sure that those executives have a customized experience that protects them while they're traveling. So next was IoT security legislation. Really excited to see this right now. It's in the UK. We're looking for it in the US as well. But just some best practices for passwords, vulnerability reporting, different things to keep in mind for manufacturers of these IoT devices, and how to make sure that that we can look for ongoing security updates from those, or they're not going to get the stamp of approval. NIST, the National Institute for Standards and Technology, released their drafted guidelines for ransomware defense. Very, very helpful information. A lot of companies are being hit with ransomware to the point where not just companies, doctors' offices, any kind of healthcare providers, they are going out of business because of ransomware attacks. So for them to create guidelines for everyone is a really, really welcome thing. This week, there was also a post on CEOs deleting their social media profiles. I'm not a big fan of this. I get the reason behind it, and I understand people want to safeguard things. I am a big proponent, as everyone knows, of executive digital protection and making sure that our online profiles are tight and the inner circle is locked in. And if there are any breaches, that the information that you have out there is not really sensitive information. But to completely delete your profile and to not have any presence online really opens it up for imposter accounts to pop up and pretend to be you. We've seen this happen in fundraising capabilities and just social engineering attacks where people are pretending to be someone. So I kind of like CEOs and other execs to have at least a presence. This week, there were articles on Zoom and WebEx vulnerabilities where unauthorized visitors were able to infiltrate those webinars, those meetings, intellectual property theft, all kinds of things can go wrong. So make sure that you're using all of the deepest protections and passwords. A lot of people go with the default settings. They like to use something that's just really simple. Highly recommending that you are using all the passwords and make sure that the people that are attending your Zoom meetings or your WebEx meetings are ones that were invited. There was an article on SMS security. Those are your text messages and messages, photographs, any kind of things, attachments being sent through text messages. Notoriously not secure by nature. Also, the way people are doing SIM swapping attacks or whatever. One thing we want to get clear here. Do not take off two-factor authentication because you think that there's a way to hijack it. There are, but you're much better using it than not using it. So still make sure your multi-factor, your two-factor authentication methods are enabled. When you log into LinkedIn or other things, make sure that you get that text message that says, enter the 6-digit code. to make sure that you are authorized to enter this account. Superbowl Security is front of mind for everyone this week. We're very excited about the Chiefs and that other team, whatever they're called, playing in the Super Bowl. So I'm really incredibly impressed with the law enforcement coordination between all of the different agencies to make sure that that's a safe, pleasurable experience for all involved. Another highlight to keep in mind is that human trafficking is very, very prevalent during large sporting events like this. So that their efforts are greatly appreciated and very, very much needed. We talked about enterprise security and the role of the CISO. This is becoming a bigger thing with the cybersecurity shortage. The person that you put in the chair of the CISO becomes very, very important. We see breaches all the time. Some can't be helped, but to make sure that the person that you're sitting in that chair not only has the technical acumen, but the ability to communicate from a business perspective, that the business acumen to relate it to the board and the other executives so that they can quantify the information that they're sharing and that doesn't go over that person's head. You know, every department has their expertise. IT has to be able to communicate the business case as well as the nuts and bolts behind it. This week, there was a report that showed that credit card theft and presence on the dark web is up over 200%. Just another reason for everyone to monitor your credit card accounts, know which breaches that you're involved in. And then on top of it, there are different protections for credit versus debit cards. So whenever possible, make sure you're using a credit card. Credit card companies protect you from more fraud than a debit card would. Debit card, they can just drain the account and you're only going to get so much back and you have to report it within a short period of time. So use credit cards whenever possible. So I want to just give a little shout out to everyone who published really great content this week. I'll go through this quickly. My Alex White here at Prescient was talking about data protection in the cannabis industry. Compliance obviously is there, but we're talking PHI, we're talking artificial intelligence, we're talking surveillance, the scanning and the storing of people's government issued IDs, very important that that data is protected. So a question in my network that I got this week was if I want to take my name off of these data aggregators, how do I do that when they're asking me for more information? So it's a frustration I have too. I don't like that to get your old address off of a website that you have to share your government issued state ID. I don't like that. But for now, that's part of it. I'd like to see that change over time, but for now, it's more important to get it off of the public thing and then to have the right to be forgotten whenever that's possible. Router requirements for security. Definitely want to make sure that the router you're purchasing for your home or even for your business has the protections necessary. So the router you buy is really important. Elizabeth Rice at Blackstone shared the study on women in security. I thought that was a really insightful read, definitely worth looking into, especially, again, as we're short on talent, to make sure that we create a positive climate for our teams. Spencer Corson shared an article about cameras and Airbnbs, things to look out for and how to detect if the place you're staying has a camera in it that would be, taking away your privacy. Ivor Tarrant this week shared cyber attacks targeting world leaders and their planes on the way to Israel to the World Holocaust Forum. Another cybersecurity risk on airplanes now, trying to reroute planes. Chuck Brooks, keeping your kids' information safe online, important read for parents. And Nick Jacinto shared an article on executive protection going digital. I'm a huge fan of executive digital protection as far as assessing the online risk of your executive team, your board members, anyone with high visibility, high net worth, really important stuff to make sure that their online presence is fortified and private. And last this week, I just want to give a shameless plug to all the people in my network and other people who are looking for jobs. It's been a really quiet lull over the course of the holidays where people were just getting back in the swing of things. There are a lot of great, great talents out there who are looking for their next role and their next adventure. So keep your eyes open. So that's what I have for you this week. Thank you guys all for the great questions and all the feedback, and I look forward to talking to you next week.